everybody. Welcome back to the horror show. I'm Marcia Parker.
Luis Hernandez.
And got Jaime En Fuego here, and the three of us just got done with an advanced review of the newest film from M. Night Shyamalan, a.k.a. The Shamhammer, a.k.a. Shamalama Ding Dong, or, you know...
Shamalamanam.
Exactly. There are many hilarious idioms for this guy, but you know what? His last two films now have not been as idiotic as stuff like Lady in the Water or The Last Airbender. Remember, this guy started out firing on all cylinders, and then he had a lull that, for me, started with The Village. But this... Really? Did you guys like The Village?
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Oh, it bugged me so much.
Oh, I love that
Oh,
movie.
goodness. But hey,
Love that movie.
personal opinion. Film is subjective. But, so yeah, we are going to be talking about Split today. And, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
My goodness. So this is about split personalities, hence the title, and performance by James McAvoy. I think I described it as insane brilliance to the studio rep person who was there. Incredible. You've got Anya Taylor-Johnson as well, who we had seen previously in Morgan, and most notably in The Witch, which everybody loved. So this girl is becoming a big star very quickly, and three girls get kidnapped by Mr. McAvoy. That's in the trailer, so we're not really spoiling anything. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, guys, because you're going to be seeing this long before the film actually comes out on January 20th. So, first and foremost, initial impressions. I think we were in a consensus about this, right? That this film was badass.
It was a very interesting movie he made.
I think
Very interesting.
Yes, very layered.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the best movie that I've seen this year, and I know it's January.
It's a very new year.
But that being said, I have seen a few that I had high hopes for and was let down, and this one was just captivating.
Yes, it was about as layered, once again, to beat that dead horse, as his many personalities for me. There's a lot going on. It's cool how it kind of jumped back and forth between, there's a little bit of flashback with one particular character, but then there's also McAvoy trying to deal with all of these warring personalities and how some of them get along, some of them don't, and and they're all of various degrees of volatility.
Yeah.
I guess you could say, you know, there's like the kind one, the compassionate one, the diabolical one, and various like levels in between. So overall, pretty awesome. And story-wise, though, Marcia, what did you think? That, like, well scripted and all that stuff?
I think they did a really good job on the story. I was interested from the moment it started to the moment it ended. I even wanted to stay there just to see if they were going to give me a little bit more at the end. And I mean, I think this is definitely one of my favorites. Definitely M. Night Shyamalan is one of those, for me, that is kind of a hit and miss sometimes, and he really renewed my faith with this one.
So much more than than The Visit. I mean, the Visit was okay, and it was kind of an interesting return to form, and it wasn't bad for found footage, but this being a full-on feature, it was wonderfully crafted. Lou, what'd you think, man?
Yeah, no, I agree with Marcia 100%. It was like... he is so good. Like, he made a dark movie without it having violence, really.
Very little.
Right.
Like, also, like
definitely psychological thriller.
Yeah, but a lot of dark themes. And I was a little surprised, but I liked it.
Very
Also,
effective.
Yeah, darkly comedic at times, though, too.
Yeah,
which was a lot of interesting.
Exactly. A lot of people are giggling at some parts, and, like, you understand why, but... when you think about it, it's like, man, this is disturbing.
Big
like,
time.
this is a very disturbing situation these people are in right now.
Like how there were some laughs in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or, you know, that type of thing. Yeah, story for me, I had there were a few problems, or maybe not so much problems. I said gripes when we were walking out of the theater, because there were certain times where I thought characters waited a little too long to do things that seemed like perfect sense to me, but they do skirt around and try to explain why they didn't just jump right to it and stuff. I mean, it's three women being held captive, and there were things that I felt like took them a little longer than was necessary.
That kind of makes sense because
but
it's an M. Night Shyamalan film. Like, he doesn't do like fast-paced, like knock down the door. It's like very slow build-up. Extremely slow snail pace.
It was a 2-hour film, by the way.
Which is weird because I didn't get bored at all.
I didn't even realize it was 2 hours.
Exactly. Like, I was like, man, it looks like it's almost over, and then all of a sudden it's over, and you're like, wow, that was 2 hours? Like, interesting.
Well, a good lengthy film that starts slow builds momentum
and
over
it
the
does.
course of the feature. And by the third act, like, this was just going and going and
Yeah.
going, man.
Yeah.
Now we got to jump into performances. The acting in this might have been one of the best performances I've ever seen from McAvoy.
Dude, he crushes it, man.
He
McAvoy
destroyed this. I mean,
is
so layered.
Oh,
I keep
man.
using that word.
But it's true because for an actor to be able to do so many different personalities in one movie is crazy. You are able to see what exact range he has, and not every actor has that ability to carry 23 different personalities.
Well, we only get to see about. We don't.
Yeah,
you don't
we
really
didn't
see
well,
all.
mild spoiler. We see a decent amount of them.
Well,
but
I was trying not to spoil it too much, but
mild spoiler.
but the amount that you see, it's very impressive.
Oh,
Yeah, you see a vast array, which is cool.
Dennis, I have to say, out of a lot of, I feel like a lot of those characters had similar traits.
Oh yeah,
but Dennis was the one that was outside the box from the rest of them, like body wise, like the way he moved.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I can piggyback on as our showrunner Cecil, who sadly didn't get to make this one with us, would say is that the body language, and it wasn't just him throwing his voice and dressing in different clothes. It was the mannerisms. It was the bulging veins in his face when he was certain characters, the rage, the bloodshot eyes at times. I mean, it was frightening. It was funny. It was one of the most compelling psychotics that I've probably ever seen put to screen. And I know that's a pretty bold statement, but I stand by it, guys.
Yeah, and he would also and the body language is fascinating. They would say that because he would make himself smaller and larger, and like his body would change in a way.
It was a very physical performance.
Yeah,
that it wasn't really like CG. It wasn't outlandish.
No.
It was just the way he moved. You like believed like, man, he is changing.
Yeah,
like it was a good.
I can change.
The power of the mind.
Yeah. What'd y'all think of Ms. Anya Taylor?
I think all of the girls did a fantastic job.
Yeah,
they did.
Even though she was the focal point, I agree. All of them were. I mean, as far as being kidnapped and the hysteria that's induced from that, they all played pretty
real.
Well.
Yeah,
it felt real. Like them talking and like especially the one who was like, we got to do this and do that. That felt like, what, someone would say that in a situation. Like, most movies don't show that. They're like, oh, we're scared. But they're like, all right, let's not be victims. Okay, let's do something about this.
Right.
And I thought that was interesting.
And it brings up the point that Jaime said, because he said, well, I think that they would have reacted a little slowly. But I thought that they did a good job of giving that different type of flight or fight scenario. Yeah. You have the girl that kind of was like, oh, okay, we'll wait it out. We'll see what happens. Yeah. You have the girl that's ready to fight. And then you have the follower.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really accurate when you have 3 different types of people in one room and that you're going to get different reactions in the scenario.
Yeah. Unsung character that we haven't mentioned yet. I thought the psychologist did a hell of a job.
Oh, yeah.
She was good.
I don't know the name of the actress, unfortunately, but this woman who is essentially trying her best to help McAvoy throughout this film, and yet she has a kind of controversial theory about things being psychosomatic and almost willing things into play in the midst of insanity that was supremely fascinating. That was where, even if in like the first act and some of the second act, there was the occasional thing that I was just kind of shaking my head about here and there. Not all the time, but I mean, she really just added extra. Once again, I keep going back to layers, damn it. Why do I keep saying this?
Because there's lots of them, and you
well,
gotta be careful.
What I liked about it was like they handled this subject in a fantasy way, but it wasn't dumbed down. They sold it to me. I was like, I believe this.
It had some credible science behind it.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, I believe that this is possible. Like really well written too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so
top
well
to
written.
bottom. Well, what do you think about the minimal effects that we had seen? I mean, there wasn't a lot.
Not so much.
Which is smart because like, why spend money on like on effects when you're like, let's just focus on story and then rely on our actors and their scene to like take it. It's like it's like something we're seeing now where I think certain directors understand how to spend money when they make movies. Like you can make a movie that plays in the in the Harkins and the big theaters, but you don't have to make it like, Independence Day Resurgence.
They made this for $5 million, and boy, did it look like they spent so much more than that on it. That's why it's all about location, and most of it takes place in this eerie, like, subterranean. I mean, if you've seen the previews, there's piping, there's all these strange chambers and stuff like that in this rundown area, and I thought at least the practical effects of the setting, the environment, they really just added to the additional eeriness of everything.
Yeah, they definitely relied on the set design, which was really, really smart, and it made the whole thing more believable. So when you did get a little
grounded,
bit,
like you guys were saying,
it was mostly just practical effects with a little bit of a tweak, but we won't talk about the tweak.
Yeah, because that would be spoiling things just a wee bit.
We were asked politely by M. Night Shyamalan not to spoil anything, so we're adhering to his wishes.
Yeah, and everyone knows he's all about the spoiler twist at some point.
Can I mention something? I will. Can I say something about this movie?
Sure.
As far as something spoilerific?
It's not going to spoil. Okay, so...
Choose your words wisely,
I am. Watching this movie, every time you watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie, you want to, you look for that twist. And the thing is, in the beginning of this movie, he talks to the audience and he tells us why he made it and all that, and he, says, hey, blah, 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 don't say anything, and just remember, this is for the fans. So watching this movie the whole time, I'm like, how? This is for the fans.
And you're like, fan service, is there something
cryptic
he might be mentioning here?
Well, what's interesting is, the whole time watching the movie, I'm like, how the hell is this for the fans? And then he blew my mind.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Wait for it.
No, he
definitely does give you signals, and you think you know what you're getting, and you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And I will say this. If you guys want to cut this out, I understand, but not since The Sixth Sense has there been something where I was at the end, I was like, oh, shit.
No, that's actually not even spoiling things at all. That's just getting audiences ready, but it won't necessarily be what you would expect.
Exactly.
Which is interesting.
There's definitely mixed signals in this movie.
I will say it is for fans. You have to
be a fan. It definitely is, yeah. And, I mean, maybe that's a good spot for us to jump on the music and sound effects and whatnot. I mean, there's...
Not that much.
Not that much. It was minimalistic, but there are certain musical cues that are very effective without revealing too much.
I thought the opening credits were really cool.
Agreed.
Yeah.
The music and the opening credits, I don't know what to compare it to, but there was something so different. I was like, I've never seen M. Night Shyamalan do something like this with his credits. Is again minimalistic as well.
Lean and mean.
Yeah.
Lean and mean.
Much like a lot of the film, honestly.
Yeah.
And it is really literally playing with the words that really fit with the entire movie. It set the mood, got you ready. And I want to kind of touch back on the overall movie itself.
Yeah, we'll come full circle, guys.
When we left, I thought to myself, was this a horror movie? And then I had to recount a couple things, and I'm like you were talking about the darkness, the light in the darkness, and the laughter a little bit. But then there was also the really demented stuff, and there is a little bit of gore going on in it. And I guess this was a horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I like that about it. It made me feel like, okay, it's a feel-good horror movie.
Perhaps, yeah.
It wasn't a cliche.
No,
not at all.
And it wasn't even an M. Night Shyamalan cliche.
No.
I think it was definitely
well, maybe there was one.
Return to form.
More so than The Visit in every way. I mean, this is probably my favorite film of his since Unbreakable.
I didn't even like Unbreakable.
Really?
Really? That's his
Man,
masterpiece.
Unbreakable is amazing.
God,
I mean, some people point to Sixth Sense. Some people, careful now.
I mean,
That's how excited she was about this film.
That to me is his best movie in the world.
I mean, Sixth Sense.
It's because we like comic books, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I'm more Sixth Sense, The Village.
The horror stuff.
The horror.
Did he do Signs too?
Yeah, he did Signs.
Okay, I like Signs.
I mean, I like
Swing
Mel
Home.
Gibson.
Joaquin Phoenix. No, guys, but I guess general consensus then, we're smiling because we really enjoyed this movie, and we're actually hoping to do a spoiler review proper with Cecil Laird so you can get his perspective on this, because we want to know it just as much of all of you, the vigilant viewers and subscribers do. So I look forward to hopefully you getting and Lou getting in on that as well.
I have a lot to say, man. It pumped me up, and it's weird. Like on the way here, I was like, man, this movie freaking pumped me up, dude.
Yeah, the gears were turning in all of our heads
I was
as
just
we were
like,
coming back to the studio.
What's next?
And the biggest thing is, like, how do we review this movie without spoiling it? Because it's so intricate. Like, if you say the wrong thing, you're going to give the whole thing away. And it's definitely a journey that you want to ride without knowing the endings. So please don't spoil it for yourself.
Yeah, don't get on Twitter seeing people mention stuff like this.
Just watch it and experience it and enjoy it. Because if you're a true fan, you really will. And we all liked M. Night Shyamalan for different reasons. And we all agreed to this movie, so that should say a lot.
Yeah, and to, give us credit, I think we did a pretty damn good job walking on eggshells here, guys. Yeah, go Team Horror Show! So, I gotta extend, as I say, a grande gracias, but, thanks from all three of us to all of you peeps for checking out this review. Stay tuned for that spoilers one. Make sure to check out our TeePublic site, right?
Yes, that's where you're gonna find all the best swag. You'll get cool Horror Show Coexist shirts. You can even get the shirts that we like to wear. So it's like a crew member shirt. You want to wear those.
Represent!
There's also a bunch of hand-selected ones that we like that other artists have created on their own. So make sure you go to our site, pick up your swag for yourself and 6 of your friends.
Yes, or more. 666 We have lots of fun here.
Yeah.
And Lou, gracias for the first review of the year that you've been able to help us out with.
Yeah, well, thank you. Like, I told you before, I really wanted to do a review on this movie. I was interested from when we saw the trailer, and I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm interested.
Yeah, because you were on the trailer reaction.
I was,
right?
Yes.
I love it when a plan comes together.
That's why I really wanted to do this one. So.
Yeah, well, this was a blast, guys, and gracias once again for everybody who tuned in to this. So I've been Jaime En Fuego.
I'm Marcia Parker.
Luis Hernandez.
And until next time, y'all, stay scared. Like, share, and subscribe.
Don't spoil it. #split.